the steep coast at the southern tip of Africa. Inaccessible and rugged. But there's one animal that feels right at home here. Cute, but can be fierce. Always sociable. And seemingly designed for life on the edge. The Dassie, or rock hyrax. The animal is virtually unknown in Europe, as it's not found anywhere in the wild there. It's not a groundhog, although it might look like one. It isn't a rodent either. The Dassie is unique. There's nothing remotely like it, not even its nearest relatives. Surprisingly, its closest genetic relatives are the elephant and the manatee, or sea cow. But their habitats couldn't be more different. Dassies live in places that are inaccessible to most other animals. They're accomplished climbers. Narrow crevices and steep overhangs, no problem. Up above, the sun deck calls. A favorite gathering place for Dassies. Around 20 females and their clan chief live in this rocky cliff colony. They're well protected from the elements by their thick coats. Their teeth make good grooming aids. An elongated claw on their back feet is ideal for scratching too. Apart from that, Dassies have no claws or toes that might help them when climbing, so how do they do it? The leathery soles of their feet are like little suction pads, giving them a firm hold for even the most daring maneuvers. At the foot of the rocks lie their grazing grounds. This is where they feed on flowers, grasses, and lichens. They only spend about an hour each day foraging. But it's a wary 60 minutes. Foraging and eating are dangerous times. Distracted and separated from their usual cover, they become ideal prey for aerial predators. The African black eagle is particularly fond of Dassies. If they spot him first, they scatter. But if the eagle is lucky, they might be too late. This time, he's successful. The other Dassies hide away between the rocks. It will be some time before they dare to come out again. Every male Dassie has his own song, like the head of this colony. He uses it to convey his status to the females. His chosen partner can hear who she's about to engage with, and he can scent whether she is ready to receive him. But she decides whether she actually wants him, and that can take a while. The female Dassie is only fertile for a few days each year. So he has to seize every opportunity. He doesn't always succeed at first, but he doggedly pursues her. And finally, it pays off. This little interlude will bear fruit, and the clan chief will also mate with other females. As the South African summer draws to an end, so does the Dassie's mating season. Many of the colony's females are pregnant. Now they have to get through the winter. During the following 5 months, tremendous storms rage across the countryside. They bring with them cold and rain. The damp climate is a blessing for the region's plant life. But it makes the thermophilic Dassies retreat to their rocky fortress for shelter. They don't venture forth in this kind of weather. But all it takes is for the winter sun to peep out between the clouds and the rocks come alive again. Dassies need warmth to get them moving, because in cold weather, their body temperature sinks by several degrees. It saves energy, but they do need the sun to warm them up again. Especially the pregnant females. Stretching out in the warm sand is very good for this mum-to-be's swollen belly. Unlike the Dassie, South African fur seals have no body temperature problems. They have a thick layer of fat and a water-repellent coat to protect against loss of body heat in the chilly 15-degree water. They can start hunting at any time, regardless of whether the sun is there to warm them up or not. They actually only come ashore to rest at breeding time and to raise their young. A rocky outcrop jutting into the sea is the ideal spot for all of that. The younger animals mostly gather at the water's edge. They don't seem to mind the odd dousing while they relax. The best places are on top of the rocks, and the seals make every effort to get there, although their bodies aren't really suited to climbing. Fights often break out over prime locations. Only the patriarch rules unchallenged over his space. Kelp gulls are much feared cohabitants of the southern African coast. They are aggressive and patrol long distances in their search for prey. Dassies have no reason to fear them, though. They just carry on soaking up the sun on the warm rocks. They're sociable creatures and enjoy being in company. Sometimes they even go to the toilet together. These latrine areas are used by all the animals in the colony. A very well-fertilized spot for plants. The nutritious nectar in these blossoms attracts pollinators. Not an insect this time, but a female elephant shrew. She's in great need of the energy-rich nectar, as she has offspring to feed. Elephant shrew babies are born at the end of winter. This means that here in the Western Cape region of South Africa, spring is just around the corner. Shortly after the start of spring, the Dassies also give birth to their young. Each mother has 2 or 3 babies. Immediately after they're born, the babies are able to see and romp about on their own. Under the watchful eye of their mother, of course. It's still cold here at the coast. For the little ones, that means they have to huddle together to keep warm. They still have to get used to their airborne neighbors, and they're easily startled. But the adult animals are unperturbed. The African red-winged starling isn't dangerous. Or is it? At any rate, it can be really annoying. The young in the nursery group are all more or less the same age. But they have very different characters. Some of them are more adventurous and want to discover the world around them. Although that world is still limited to their mother's vicinity. In the first few days of their lives, the young survive solely on their mother's milk. Suitably refreshed, it's time for a high-spirited romp. This little daredevil is particularly energetic. The peaceable adult Dassies are generally tolerant of their lively offspring, with some exceptions. While the females take care of bringing up their young, the clan chief watches over his extended family. He's young and strong, and reigns undisputed over his kingdom. He does not tolerate strange males. Should one of them from a nearby colony enter his territory, it's a declaration of war. This old fellow is clearly too close. And the clan chief takes up the chase. Nobody disputes his territory. The old intruder knows when to give up. On the other side of the cliff, he's the boss. His colony lives among the coastal rocks near an old lighthouse, with penguins and cormorants. The neighbours' hygiene standards leave a lot to be desired. They deposit their droppings everywhere, unlike the Dassies. They use their latrine areas for generations, sometimes even centuries, always at the same spot. Collections of pollen and seeds from the distant past are often found among the deposits, making them especially interesting for climate researchers. Not so much for penguins, though. The old clan chief has done his business. A quick sand bath nearby is a good way to clean up. And now it's time to relax. His family is used to their noisy neighbours. Even the mothers and their babies don't mind the constant clamour. In the middle of spring, the cormorant's brood period begins. First, they have to sort out who is going to stay where. There's loud fighting over the best nesting places. Sometimes too loud. The most ruthless pair wins, securing a prime spot in the shade. The losers will have to breed in the blazing sunshine. Meanwhile, the spring sun is gaining strength. It's getting hot. Even the thermophilic Dassies retire to the shade in the middle of the day, or they could overheat. Up here in the rock colony, there are plenty of cooler places, but the young can be quite a nuisance. The little daredevil sets off on his own. His curiosity has been aroused by a lizard. The lizard is in hunting mode. It only has eyes for its winged snacks. The little one strays further and further away from the group. He's tempted by some nice fresh greenery, even though he's much too young to be able to digest it. His sister prefers to stay with their mother. She's still keeping a watchful eye on her daring offspring. He's ventured into open ground, far from any safe bolt hole, but the high-spirited little Dassie has no idea that his expedition could be dangerous. His playful instinct is too strong. The adults keep an eye out on the skies too. They can actually look straight at the sun without it damaging their eyes, as they have a special membrane that protects them. So they do not fail to notice the eagle that has been trying to conceal itself in the glare of the sun. A cry of alarm, and most of them react instantly. A last warning finally reaches the little explorer. This time, the eagle draws a blank and moves on. For today, the Dassies are safe in the shelter of their rocky hollows. But the attack has nonetheless taken its toll. Even Dassies can sometimes lose their footing and plunge to their death. Dawn in the lighthouse colony. The penguins are already up and about. At first light, they're off hunting in the sea. Fish are their main prey. The king gull, meanwhile, goes foraging along the shore. A nice fish is a welcome meal to start the day. But this one is a little hard to handle. The thief seizes the opportunity. Can it swallow this big creature whole? Fish and sand, delicious, no problem. Just after sunrise, with the Dassies still fast asleep in their caves, the penguins have been active for ages. These two have something in mind. What looks like an argument is in fact just the opposite. It's a courtship ritual. Mating is a real balancing act. And it's all over by the time the Dassies wake up. The old clan chief of this colony is used to the penguins' hustle and bustle. A fur seal is a much less common sight, though. They rarely come to rest among the penguins. The birds keep a respectful distance. Even though on land, the portly colossus doesn't pose them a serious threat. In the sea, on the other hand, it's a different story. Now and then, fur seals will also hunt penguins in the water. Although it isn't the penguin itself that is the target. It's the fresh fish in its belly that the seal is after. For the penguin, the outcome is the same. On land, however, life is a bit more peaceful. At least among the lighthouse Dassie colony. The cormorants are having a more stressful time of it. It's early summer and they have nests to build. They'll use anything as long as it can be woven into the nest. But suitable materials are in short supply, and looking for them is exhausting. That doesn't affect the Dassies, though. In the nursery, the little ones are frolicking in the sand. Here and there they will look for things to eat, even though they're still mainly dependent on their mother's milk. Sparse vegetation between the coastal rocks makes a good in-between snack. The cormorant, meanwhile, has come across some building supplies. But not every find can be transported safely back home. There are plenty of thieves lying in wait. And whoever wins the tug of war for nest material can quickly get on with the business of breeding. Eggs in a nest attract robbers who lurk in wait. An airing helps cope with the heat. It's just what the gull was waiting for. But a single egg is not enough to still its hunger. So the search continues and takes it past the rock colony. The young dassies are already a few weeks old. Apart from mother's milk, they're also eating plant food. The little daredevil ventures furthest. Padded feet and an excellent sense of balance help him retain his footing in the swaying, thorny branches. Getting back out of the bush is tricky. Just how daring his acrobatic feat actually was can be seen by the drop. On the beach, the gull has spied its next meal. The crab hasn't a chance. Its hard shell and strong claws are no contest for the gull's sharp beak. It's the perfect tool for cracking open a crab, but it's still not that straightforward. Today, the gull's foraging excursion along the beach has paid off. For the Dassies, although gulls might pose no danger, they can still be quite a nuisance. With a full belly, the kelp gull flies off back to its own colony, where it's eagerly awaited. Its young are hungry. Today there's crab with egg, a nourishing mash for its offspring. The chicks are real gluttons and will soon be demanding second helpings. Among the rocks above, the lizard has established its territory in a Dassie latrine area. Any intruders are quickly chased away. It stakes its territorial claim by doing press-ups. The Dassies don't bother it at all. After all, they're the reason why it lives in the lap of luxury. The scent of their waste attracts insects such as ants. All the lizard has to do is wait until its prey comes along. The plentiful food supply lures others of his kind. But no one gives up their feeding ground without a fight. The latrine areas play an important role for many rock dwellers. At night, the elephant shrew is a frequent visitor. It's on the lookout for its favorite food. Aside from nectar, it also loves insects. Beetles, for instance. They are often to be found among the pellet-like Dassie droppings. And a few ants for dessert. How much poorer its life would be without the Dassie latrines. Nighttime can bring with it some magical light shows. Not only the stars twinkle, mysterious lights also dance on the sea's surface. The blue shimmer is caused by millions of minuscule luminous sea creatures. Reacting to the movement of the waves and other disturbances in the water, they emit light impulses. The natural wonder ends at dawn. It's a warm summer's morning in the rock colony. The young Dassies have meanwhile become quite independent. Today, the entire nursery group meets to take a sand bath. It's more than just pleasure, it also protects them from parasites. But the little daredevil has something else in mind today. He's set his sights on a female. At 2 months, he's not yet sexually mature. But of course, practice makes perfect. The young female Dassie isn't particularly impressed with this game. Her escape takes her into dangerous territory. though even adult animals don't always recognize impending doom. A puff adder hides in wait. It's an ambush predator. The fleeing instinct finally kicks in, but too late. The poison kills swiftly. All the snake needs to do is wait until it has taken effect, and then follow the scent of his victim. A young dassie is a sumptuous meal for the puff adder. The snake will be able to live off it for many weeks to come. By the time it has to go hunting again, the other young dassies will already be too big for it. Fortunately for this nursery group. The daredevil is testing his climbing skills again. He audaciously goes for the most nutritious leaves. But pride comes before a fall. He's got a lot to learn before he grows up. The young cormorants are now fledglings. Their first attempts at flying often land them in the dangerous breakers. If they're lucky, they get washed up onto the beach. The exhausted birds first have to dry out and recover after their ordeal. The big kelp gull seizes the opportunity. It approaches cautiously. Even a young cormorant's beak can be dangerous. But the hapless cormorant is too weak to put up much resistance. Another young fledgling manages to get up again, despite the wind and wet plumage. The most important thing is to dry off quickly so it can fly again. The gull is persistent. But the cormorant doesn't give up either, and in the end, it actually manages to escape. The surf and the gulls claim a number of victims among the young birds. But many survive. And as soon as they're strong enough, they will reach for the skies and start their own lives. All these creatures must master the diverse challenges of growing up. The coming months will show whether the Dassie youngsters up here among the rocks will manage it too. Only around 1/4 of them survive the first year. With a little luck, the daredevil will also make it. Perhaps he will lead his own colony someday. More than a year has gone by. The wild little daredevil has grown into a juvenile male Dassie. With the mating season approaching, some things have changed. The clan chief of the rock colony is especially vigilant. Because the juvenile male, now sexually mature, is making his life rather difficult. The cocky young go-getter has only one thing in mind. And the females aren't much interested in hierarchy or supremacy. But the clan chief is much less tolerant. He chases away every grown male Dassie, including the young daredevil. He can clearly not stay in the rock colony anymore. But he's reluctant to give up his home as easily as that. The right to mate, however, rests with the head of the colony. So rivals simply haven't got a chance. The youngster will have to find a new place to call home. Perhaps here, in the lighthouse colony. But in this hurly-burly of alien bodies, how can he find a connection? At last, he spots another Dassie. And it's even a female. He begins cautiously. With him below, and her up above. He takes a chance on the next move. But she doesn't trust the stranger and disappears. Leaving only her scent behind her. But it's a scent he seems to fancy. Can he stay here? He likes the spot and marks it straight away. but someone is watching him suspiciously. The lighthouse colony clan chief may be old, but he still doesn't like the idea of rivals. With his neck hairs raised, he advances towards the intruder and stands there threateningly. Often that's enough to put other males in their place. And the young adventurer respects his territorial claim. He's only really interested in the female, after all. And who knows? Perhaps he might get a chance to start a colony of his own with her someday soon.